This is how to ruin your Counter-Strike career. Forget practice. Playing infinitely at ungodly hours should be your only exposure to the game. After all, practice makes perfect, right? Or was that practice makes permanent? Who knows? Refuse to take responsibility for individual performances. Have a list of readily available excuses when your performance falters, be it your ping, your team because you were solo queuing, or your lack of practice as a team and not as a player. Eliminate the need to do any research of your own. Subscribe to the idea that your setup, your gear, your distance from the pro scene is what's limiting you, and disregard the idea that there have been players with zero support who have made it to majors. Let the Twitter meta dictate every play you make. Become a user of whatever popular YouTuber's niche utility usage goes viral. Pug profusely, refusing to make any changes in between pugs. Allow the occasional 30 bomb to make you think that you're making progress. Avoid commitment. Fall under the belief that everyone who has succeeded has done so by playing in moderation and maintaining a balanced life of little commitment. Play unassuming roles for the rest of your tenure as a player. Always play roles with minimal communication. Anchor bomb sites with minimal effort. Refuse to cooperate on timing-based difficult plays that might subject you to any scrutiny. Keep playing with lower ranked friends to pass the time. Keep reveling in the dopamine hit of getting 37 frags against people with 30 hours on the game. Play none of your games with intent. Every time you learn something from a demo and it doesn't work out in your pug, default back to pushing in places that has worked previously against lower ranked opponents. And watch. Watch whatever 16-year-old prodigy is currently aiming the best, or whoever has managed to make it to 5,000 elo on Faceit at 12 years of age. Keep watching unreplicable bouts of gameplay and blame your lack of genetic mechanics for your lack of progression as a player. Refuse to believe that any of your results could have been directly influenced by you. Look back at all the 91 and one-hit moments and insinuate that a few jewels going your way would have changed the outcome of your matches. Don't join a team to begin with. Wait until you're good enough to join a team, but don't actually develop a metric in your head for what good enough is. Never develop your own creative style. Wait to be fed ideas, strats, and setups like a baby bird by any unfortunate IGL that someday accidentally takes a risk on you in an open team. And when being taught, make sure to point out any holes that you figured out in their game plan through your own shallow lens. Never be on time for practice if you manage to find a team. Wait for the IGL to finish talking to the team, take 0 notes, and just ask to fill roles when it's time for an actual match. Take no effort in preparing utility in advance, and limp-wristedly throw smokes, pretending to have failed them when you hadn't learned them to begin with. Be unwilling to accept your flaws as a team player. Do not let anyone know about them because it could give them the satisfaction of helping you improve. You were the only reason for your successes, remember, so having your philosophy as a player mended by someone else is like an insult. Get into fights often. Limit the amount of players you can play with within your country and community. Make sure that as a player you're very difficult to bring up in conversation because there are very few people who can vouch for you. Do not let anyone steal your limelight. Every time someone on your team gets an ace or a highlight, take little to no time to shift the conversation to the clutch you got a few rounds ago or that one performance you had that one time in that one game in a pug. Don't expose yourself to any communities for the game. Don't develop an identity as a player. Spend your time playing under an unrecognizable alias with a picture of a pro player that you found on the front page of Google. Never make content. Never polish your personality outside the game. Try to make a name for yourself by just playing pugs and not even higher ranked matches. Keep overperforming against casual players and accumulating 10,000 unproductive hours. Never let your identity as a player be brought up in conversation and stay as irrelevant as possible. Believe that there's a ceiling and you've already reached it. Subscribe to the idea that the greatest players of all time were simply obviously letting their genetics play out rather than building anything from scratch. And finally, let your highlights be the only source of your identity as a player in your own head. Every time you perform worse than your highlights might suggest, it's just a stroke of bad luck. Never attempt to raise your skill floor, only chase the high of having yet another match where you'll luck out against a better team to get that next hit of dopamine from raising your ceiling by a fraction of an elo point.